Morning and welcome to Mirador Television. My name is Max Hurd. I'm here with Stuart Dalby. So today we're going to go through the headlines, and pretty big headline this morning. Unfortunately, every single paper is the same, but it's a pretty big story. So let's just jump straight into it. The Times says Boris Johnson on the brink. So who resigned? It was Rishi Sunak and Sajid Javid.
Yeah, the health minister. Yeah, he was formerly chancellor, and I think he was pushed aside.
He only got the promotion like 2 or 3 months ago. It's not been that long for Sajid Javid. I can't remember what he was before. But why? So they have resigned over Pincher's the handling of what was his first name?
Pincher's George
Pincher's groping incident. Now, I do find it quite hilarious that someone who's been groping people, their surname is Pincher.
It's not Pincher, it's Pilcher.
Oh, Pilcher. I thought it was Pincher.
Yeah.
But
yes,
anyway,
that would be more appropriate.
That would be very funny, yeah.
But it's not just this particular incident, it's accumulation of things, isn't it? Partygate and lies and, being a criminal offence and all this kind of thing. It's just accumulate. Now, I have to say I'm smirking slightly because having known Boris a bit and known his sister a lot and his father a lot, I always said to my wife, I bet you that he doesn't get into a second term. And I bet quite a lot of money on this. So I am actually keeping my fingers crossed that this might finally be it. But you don't know. The man's such an incredible escapologist. And also, you see, if you look at the makeup of his cabinet, the cabinet was designed to be 1,000% behind Boris, come what may. They're all Brexiteers or second-rate people, quite frankly. Look at Premier Bartel or whatever her name is, and all these other people. They couldn't actually put a sort of children's party together, and this is what's happened. And also, it was the right thing for Rishi Sunak to do because. Can consider the mess he's made of things. And as for the other one, who's the other one? Who's the other one who's resigned? It's gone from me for a moment.
Sajid
Javid. Well, what's he done, for example? And also, you see, then there is this question of the new. There is a question here about the new chancellor is going to be tax cutting. So the people who want Boris to go are going to play on this one, and that Rishi Sunak wasn't a tax cutter, and this is what the party people are actually calling for, is a tax cutting chancellor. So that's how he's got the job, and that's why the other one was pushed out. So there's all kinds of things, and don't forget that when Mrs. Thatcher was on the brink, the entire cabinet lined out to oust her. At the moment, there's only 2 of them. A lot of people in the cabinet, I can't remember how many, what is it, 16 or 20, something, I don't know. So I don't think he's out just quite yet, but he is on the brink.
How long, when is the next election? It's in a year and a half, isn't it?
Let's think, 2019, yeah, I think it's, 18 months, isn't it?
18 months, right.
So that's what?
Do you think he's going to be able to hold on as Prime Minister for the next 18 months? I certainly don't think he's going to willingly resign.
No, I don't think he is, but it's so difficult to know with him. Like that, I think that Mail headline is just perfect. The greased piglet wriggle out of this. Can even Boris the greased piglet wriggle out of this? I think that's just perfect.
I think he can. I think he can wriggle out of anything. The Partygate stuff. No one cares about that anymore, and I think probably one of the main reasons is the media went on it so much. It's only recently, in the last month or so, that they've stopped talking about Partygate.
Yeah.
and people got so sick of it that they just don't care anymore. I mean, I never cared in the first place because I never paid attention to the lockdown rules anyway. So neither did he. I don't really care because I did the exact same thing. Did you? How did you go with the COVID lockdown rules? Did you follow them?
Yes.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean, the argument there was, people couldn't go and see their funerals for their beloveds. They couldn't go and see their elderlies, and so forth and so on. And it was one rule for the rich and one rule for the poor, and that was really, really awful. And that's why. Why should he and Cummings, that creature, why should he be exempt from the rules? Why should they? And I go back to my thing I've always been saying, that politics has been colonized by celebrities. Boris is a celebrity, and although we have a first past the post political system, people here don't vote for the party; they vote for the person. So people don't vote for.
I don't think that's true.
But it is true. If you look at America, Trump, right?
Yeah.
People voted for him, not for the Republicans, which he was a member of.
Yeah.
And now you got people voting for Boris rather than the Conservatives. The reason why? Because he's a bit of a lad. Oh, we know he's a bit of a naughty boy, but he's very funny. He's very good on television. I think I'm going to vote for him. And that's where it's all gone wrong.
I mean, he used to be very good on television. I mean, he used to say the most outrageous things, like calling Muslims letterbox faces, which is something that we grandparents would say. Not all of them, but some.
No, but look, what the thing about it is, we're just getting, the next thing it's going to be Cliff Richard or somebody else or somebody famous, and that's not the way to run a country. It isn't. You need somebody with some integrity apart from anything else, and he's just not got the goods, really.
No, I don't think. I disagree with you. I think having a career politician as the leader of the country is probably the worst thing. I think probably the best thing would be a business person, someone who will do the best for this country, make jobs good. It sounds so stupid the way I'm saying it, but I think we need a business person in charge, not a career politician, because they're spineless. They have so much against them. You have to compromise yourself a lot to even get to Prime Minister. So God knows what dirt is on Boris that hasn't been released yet.
I don't think businessmen should run the country. They're only interested in their own business.
No, I don't.
They're not interested in social things. They're interested in just making sure their company makes a few bucks.
No, I think they're more interested in the economy as a whole. I think, how... I know it's quite controversial, but I think how Trump handled things in America was very good.
What?
Yeah. No, I don't think he was that bad. I think he did a lot of good for that country.
For example, give me one example.
Before COVID, the economy was the best it had been in decades. Job employment was at all-time high. Obviously, all of this is before COVID. COVID messed up every single country except China, suspiciously. Higher wages than ever before. People could save for things again. And then again, COVID hit. That affected everything.
But Trump got in by telling lies, as he normally does. He promised, when places like Pennsylvania and what's known as Rust Belt now, and all these, when all their employment went because things like fracking and oil and all that kind of thing, they had nothing. They had nothing but despair. So they vote for old Trump because he told lies. He said he was going to get their jobs again. Well, he didn't. He didn't actually reproduce jobs for these people in the Rust Belt. Maybe there were jobs for his bloody business mates, such as he's got any. And he's just not fit for purpose. And then he was more or less pushed out because his inability to cope with COVID. With
the COVID thing, his inability to to deal with COVID. I do find that quite ridiculous because I think what he did was what we should have done is, well, obviously we don't have a state system, but he said, I'm not gonna make the decision for the whole country. I'm gonna let the states decide. So places like Texas and Florida and North Dakota, South Carolina, North Carolina, West Virginia, all these places didn't have lockdowns because they didn't want to. They thought it was a bad thing to do, and in hindsight, it was. A place like California and New York and all these very liberal places did have lockdowns. It was up to the states to decide.
Yes,
he
but
didn't
what you
choose
don't know,
anything for the whole country.
what you don't understand, Max, is that these people are rednecks, i.e., they're stupid, and therefore they are. You know, when he said, "Oh," he said that you know, he did get 74 million votes, and I said, "Well, there's 74 million stupid people in America. What do you expect?" He is just like Murdoch. He just panders to the lowest common prejudices and stokes up fears. And all these rednecks, I know about rednecks because I learned so much more when I was in Vietnam than I learned when I've been to America, because all these poor redneck people were sent as cannon fodder, and they weren't very bright. They didn't even know which country they were in, apart from anything else. And then there were all the buffalo soldiers, the black soldiers. They were all sent all over. And these people are not terribly bright, frankly. And you know, they are stupidly right-wing. Look at the abortion thing that's now going on. I mean, that's just a weird queer, isn't it, when you think about it?
No. And
also, you've got to remember, Trump is the one who packed the bloody Supreme Court.
He didn't pack the Supreme Court.
He did pack the court. He most certainly
packing
did.
the Supreme Court is adding extra judges. He didn't add any extra judges. The ones who died or left, he added conservative judges. He didn't pack the courts. There was no rule saying it had to be 50-50 split down the middle of liberal.
That is packing the court, is putting these redneck idiots in, which is what he's done.
Again, with the abortion thing, again, that's down to the states to decide. Roe v. Wade being overturned on a federal level just means each individual state can make their each individual own laws again. So places like, again, Texas, Florida, North Dakota, South Carolina, West Virginia.
Have you ever been to
I've never left the country, no. But these very, very Republican, conservative places, obviously they're going to ban abortion. But places, again, the more liberal places like California and New York won't. It's up to each individual state to decide. If you don't like the laws of the state you live in, go to a different one.
This is the whole point. You see, apart from the West Coast and the East Coast, and places like that, places is a peasant country. Peasants, real peasants, don't understand very much. It's the Bible Belt. Yeah.
And the flyover states, I think they're also called. You don't do anything apart from fly over them, traveling from east to west coast.
You do. People do the Route 66, mate. Drive across.
I know. I really want to do that at some point. Yeah.
Get your kicks on. Very good Rolling Stones number, I remember.
Yeah. Well, I do wish we had a state system where each individual county.
Oh, come on.
No, I do.
Oh,
I think
God.
I would love for each individual county to have their own rules and regulations and laws. If you don't like the county you live in, go to a different one. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. And then you find out.
Have you ever spent much time with local councillors who are not paid to do the job and are really not that brilliant, quite frankly? I mean, look at Lewis, for God's sake.
Yeah.
You want them ruling us? God, blimey. Well, they are ruling us. Well, misruling us, basically.
Well, again, you would vote for these people and they would actually be properly employed, and you would vote for hopefully useful people. But again, that's the issue. Politicians are never useful. They're always useless.
No, I can't agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah. For a young person, you're quite right wing, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I am. With the younger generation, it's either people are very, very left wing, like socialist, communist type of left wing, and then it's a really left wing or really right wing. No, I wouldn't say I'm really right wing. I would say I'm fairly conservative. wouldn't say right wing, but yeah, there's no middle ground anymore.
What do you think? What do you think the word conservative means? It means conserving the best of things, doesn't it? The best.
Yeah. Conserving
Right.
the best of things.
Right. Do you think Boris has been conserving the best things?
No, absolutely not. And I would not vote for him. I am able to vote in this next election. I will not be voting for Boris Johnson or the Conservative Party, especially if he's in charge. I'll be voting for a third party like the Libertarian Party or Reform UK, Lawrence Fox's party, or well, UKIP's not a thing anymore. But if they were, I would have voted for them. So, but I won't.
Lawrence Fox's party.
Yeah, Lawrence Fox.
Yeah, he's gone mad, hasn't he?
No, I don't think so. I think he's quite good. I like him. He's a real person. That's the difference.
Oh, but he lost his job when he was in Lewis series, wasn't he?
Yeah, I don't know much of him when he was an actor. I don't know what he was in because he used to be an actor.
Yeah, he had a nice couple of uncles as well. Yeah.
But yeah, he's a part. He created the Reform UK party, which is quite good. I like them.
What they're reforming?
They're just
bring back hanging.
Well, they are a more conservative party. I think is the best way to just.
Priti Patel used to advocate bringing back hanging. I think that's really a bit. What should we call it? Extreme.
Yeah, no, I've said this before. I support the idea of the death penalty, but
what?
No, I support the idea of it. I think it's in theory a very good idea, but it's up to the government to decide whether you live or die, and the government can't fix a pothole. Why should they be able to take someone's life? In theory, I think it's a good idea. I think a life, if someone kills someone, you deserve to die. If you do things to a child, you deserve to die. But again, that's the government deciding things, and they're useless, as always. So I can't actually support it.
Oh,
Do you support the idea in theory
of what?
Of the death penalty?
No.
No?
No.
Not at all.
No. I always believe in the possibilities of redemption. And that's what, happens in some very good prisons, but not in all of them. And I always think people should get a second chance, unless they're clearly, mass murderers and so on. I guess, I mean, killing people.
So someone like the acid bath murderer, no one's going to shed a tear over him being hung.
No, but for some people, being stuck away in jail forever is like living death. So it's an equal penalty in a way, except that the state has to bloody support them.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe these people should just locked away and the key thrown away, and that's equal to having killed them, really, or having hanged them or murdered them or put them in an electric chair. I don't know. But I don't believe in the death penalty.
Well, I have a question for you. What were your politics like when you were my age? Were they completely different to what they are to your opinions today, or have they more or less not really changed?
No, my political things have always been liberal. I've not been either Labour or Conservative in my voting ever. In fact, I've not hardly voted at all because I was a peripatetic career, as you know. I was in lots of different countries away, and I couldn't be bothered to vote by. Couldn't be bothered.
Did you vote in the last election?
I think I did. Yeah.
Yeah. So who would you probably voted for? The Lib Dems.
Well, the Lib Dems here have a very good chance of winning the seat because Maria Crawford's so impossible, and over the years the liberal vote has increased. Now you look at it, this seat is a very, very marginal now. The town itself is very liberal and very green, but places like Seaford and all the villages are fairly conservative.
Where I live in mid Sussex, we have never had a Liberal MP. It's been Conservative every single time, apart from 2 independents.
Yeah.
Where I live is very conservative.
But this, Norman Baker was 20 years here. He was a Liberal, and there was a very good chance that he will be Liberal again.
Yeah. Is this is Brighton included in this district?
Good grief, no! It's its own one. Lewis district is.
No. Do you vote for the same MP? Do you have the same MPs? So is it Maria Caulfield here?
Yes.
Is Maria Caulfield the same in Brighton? Is she?
No. Good grief, no. That's Caroline Lucas. No, in what Brighton's got about 4 MPs, hasn't it?
Does
One,
it?
2, yeah. It has one in Kemp Town, which is Labour. Then it's got Caroline Lucas, which is Pavilion, which is Brighton Town. That's the only Green Party one, and I think there's another one is the Labour one. I don't think it's got any Conservatives anymore. I could be wrong. Then here,
I doubt it.
In Lewis District Council, I think we've only got one. Or maybe there's one in Newhaven as well. But that was Norman Baker for 20 years, and he was a cabinet minister for 4 years, and he did a very, very good job. He was
was he transport minister or something?
Yes, he was. Yeah. That was very good because he could do green things like reduce pollutions and carbon emissions and that kind of thing.
I know.
And he's done terribly well, and he was a very, very good constituency MP, it must be said.
I know Keith knew him quite well. Do you know Norman Baker?
I know him, yeah, but not well, not as well as Keith has.
Okay. I've not met any.
Oh no, I think the current candidate, Jim McCleary, is perfect. He's great. He's a great family man. He's very involved in all kinds of social issues, and he works very, very hard. So, if you're listening out there, vote Liberal. Mirador Television is Liberal today.
Well, yes, we have you. Well, okay, it's from we've only gone through 2 headlines so far, but they're all the same, so we'll just blast through them quickly. The Daily Telegraph says Johnson hanging by a thread with Rishi Sunak and Sajid Javid walking out. I don't think that's entirely true. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play. We'll have to wait and see.
Johnson on the brink.
Johnson on the brink from the Financial Times. Johnson on the brink as ministers quit. Okay.
Well, actually, look, the thing about the Financial Times, it's very, very balanced. It doesn't actually, it's not an extremist like the Telegraph or the Mail or all the Murdoch things. They'll say, it writes, it does balance, and it sets out the arguments for and against, and that's what it's from. And I'm proud to say I had a 36-year career on the FT, and we learned to write balanced stories. That's what it was. And people said, it's very, very bland, but I think I really like that because I think that worked terribly well for me in my career. But, I find, the Telegraph is just really, good for going to the loo really now. And Daily Mail's not quite so extreme as it was now that they got rid of the old guy, Paul Dacre. But still a bit, what's it? But they're not, Murdoch papers, forget it. In fact,
how do you feel about GB News? Because they're not Murdoch.
GB News, well, it's got nasty people on it, isn't it?
Not really.
Well, who's on it? Is it Andrew Neil?
No, Andrew Neil's gone.
He's gone. Oh, it's old Piers. What's it?
No, he's not there.
What's he on?
He's got his own channel. Something. I think it's to do with the Sun. Not the Sun. Sky.
Yes.
No, maybe it is the Sun.
Look, the thing about news reading or news is supposed to be impartial. Now, Piers Morgan was a champion of personality-led news. What he thinks about it, well, who wants to give a damn?
Apparently, a lot of people.
Well, you know that Piers Morgan comes from around here, don't you?
Oh, does he? Where's he live?
I think he went to school in the Priory. He came from one of the villages, Newick, I think it may have been.
Oh, okay.
And I used to go around saying to people, keep it to yourself that Piers Morgan comes from around here because it might affect our credit limit.
I didn't know he was from around here.
Yeah, he was, yeah. He used to play cricket, I think.
I don't like Piers Morgan. He annoys me. No, that who you were thinking of GB News is what have I forgotten his name? I quite like him. He used to be in the EU. Why have I forgotten his name? That's really annoying. Give me 1 second. I've got him here somewhere. I'm subscribed to. I've got to find it because it's Nigel Farage. That's what you were thinking of.
Blimey, all right. Oh, great.
That was really annoying me. I had to figure it out. I quite like him, though. I think he's quite good. He actually did. You know what? No, earlier you said all politicians. What was it that saying?
All politicians' careers end in failure.
The only one I can think of that ended slightly okay was Nigel Farage. He did what he said he was going to do, get us out of the EU. He did it and then resigned and said, I've done what I needed to do. Now I'm resigning.
No, he's actually reappeared again.
Well, resigning from resigning from politics.
Nigel Farage is the ultimate saloon bar bore. I've met him, and he's the most incredibly boring person I've ever bloody well met. With every kind of stupid, petty sort of, if only Nelson had lost the Battle of Trafalgar, where we would have been now, sort of crap, bloody hell, it makes my flesh crawl.
Really? No, I quite like him. I am quite a big fan of his. I think his career ended somewhat successful.
That's the second black mark against you this morning. Liking Farage? You might get lynched if you walk out in the street.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's done. I mean, he got us out of the EU.
That's not a good thing, in my opinion.
What? Okay, all right. Oh, well, I'm very pleased that we're out of the EU.
What good has it done you?
What good was it staying in the EU?
Well, it was staying in because we had a huge bloody well market to deal in. Now we're actually barred. We're getting our lamb from New Zealand again. Look, having our dairy farm halfway across the world is bonkers. Let alone you've got the cost of freezing the stuff to get it here. It's madness. It was always madness.
Well,
I say
the
this.
thing is, maybe we should
make
our own stuff.
Because I was married to a New Zealander, so I know about New Zealand. And they were our dairy farm, which was, don't you think, was crazy? It's much easier to have Welsh lamb than it is to have New Zealand.
No, you know what I think is crazy? That we were even buying it from New Zealand. I think that's crazy I think it's crazy that we weren't doing it ourselves. That's the problem with this country. We don't make anything. We don't do anything. We don't export anything. We don't have anything that's unique to us that you can't find anywhere else in the world.
We have we have a very, very good services sector, financial sector.
Yeah.
For example, we're the money laundering capital. London's the money laundering capital of the world. That's rather good. Yes, absolutely. Really? Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, all the football bosses, they do their deals here and then bung it off to the Cayman Islands. Perfect.
Well, I think we should be bringing back production to this country.
Like what?
Everything from so.
Well, wasn't it Mrs. Thatcher that used the oil windfall to actually deindustrialize this country? That wonderful Mrs. Thatcher.
I don't think she was wonderful. I think she did some good things, and she did bad things like deindustrializing this place.
Yeah,
I think we should bring back industries like coal and things like that because we are still buying it from China.
On the news, they were buying coal. They were going to open another coal thing up in the north there.
Okay,
another one's going. Well, we did a program on coal 2 weeks ago, didn't we?
Did we?
Yes, of course we did. With Bob Davis.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
And the point was, the whole thing arose because last June, when the wind didn't blow, Boris asked Drax to reopen its coal mines again. And I questioned Bob and said, well, why is it coal? Why can't it be gas? Or why can't it be nuclear? And he said, well, the fact is, being a bit of an expert, he said, the fact is that coal is it's the right thing to do at the moment because it's readily available.
Mm.
So that was the whole good argument, that the coal was there to be used.
We're still using coal even once we got rid of all the plants, right? We were just buying it from China.
No, not true.
Where were we buying it from?
We're getting it here.
No, where were we buying it from?
Well, originally Poland, as a matter of fact.
Poland,
yeah.
We were buying it from Poland and China.
And South Africa. No, America, I think of it. China, much later.
The point is, I think, I've mentioned this before, it is in fact better for the environment to reopen the coal mines here. And it's better for our country because we get the economic benefits. But if we buy from places like Poland and China, they don't have the same restrictions that we do. We have lots of restrictions. It's probably the one place where bureaucracy is a very good thing, and like analyzing every little micro detail, and it will be the greenest form of coal that we produce, because there are carbon limits and all this laws in place, whereas China and Poland don't have the same things, especially China. They have no restrictions.
They're dictatorships. Dictatorships.
Oh, well, Poland isn't.
Oh, more or less.
Okay. Well, yeah, China it's certainly a dictatorship, and they do not care about the environment. We're so concerned in this country about environmentalism. China creates 40%, over 40% of the global carbon emissions. Hang on, what is it? 40% of the global emissions. Something like that.
Yes, well, yes.
Yeah.
And you know
almost
why?
half the world.
Look, listen, but what you're missing out on here is that everything about China is a numbers game. There are an awful lot of them. Therefore, there's an awful lot of emitting. That doesn't mean they're doing a good thing. It means that there's just so many more of them than there is us emitting. So you can't actually say, oh, they do 40%, that's terrible. It's 40% because there's a much more people emitting than anything else. So it shouldn't be made an issue.
But they don't have any regulations. We don't have kids in this country going blind and getting mercury poisoning and dumping lead into rivers anymore. We don't do that sort of things. We know it's terrible. Whereas countries like China and India and a lot of Asian countries, second world and third world countries, do those things. Entire villages die out from cancer because of like lithium production, where we're being so green. We're being so green. We're buying electric cars, but over in the Dominican Republic of the Congo, tiny little Timmy 5-year-old kid who's in the mines is going blind from poisoning.
As a matter of fact, there are 2 mines in Cornwall which have reopened to produce lithium. So we are making lithium now. And it's fantastically wonderful for the Cornish economy.
Yeah, great.
So that's a very good thing.
We need to do more of that. I don't know why we're not. We need to do more of that in this country. We're a tiny little island who doesn't even make up 1% of the entire emissions in the world.
Oh, come on.
What is it, like 0.5% or something?
No, it's more than that. I can't think what it is. But
it's less than 1%.
Well, we've only got, 66 million people. That's in the world. And how many people are there in the world?
7.5 billion.
Trillion.
Billion, not trillion.
Billion. Yeah.
Well, anyway, there's another headline here from the Daily Express. Boris fights on, declaring, "I'm now free to cut taxes."
Oh, exactly. You see, that's it. Yeah.
If that is true,
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that. Any tax cut is a good tax cut, in my opinion. From The Guardian, MP on the brink after Javid and Rishi Sunak quit. That was from The Guardian. From the Metro, gone.
Going.
Going. Again, about the same. Literally every headline is the same. From the Independent, Endgame, Boris on the brink. From the Sun, Last Chance Saloon. And from the Mirror, finally. That's all it says. That's all the Mirror says. And from the Daily Star, do you want to read that first word? I can't.
Curtains for Bozo.
Curtains for Bozo.
Yeah.
Literally every single thing is the same. It's all talking about Boris Johnson and Sajid Javid and Rishi Sunak.
Well, the Express, I think, is one that is most interesting because that's his only lifeline left, isn't it?
Yeah, there's actually
to
some.
do tax cutting really is a very, very good issue to think about because it's been gospel for the Conservatives for over 2 decades now that you don't cut personal taxes.
Personal taxes? What do you mean?
Taxes. Our tax, income tax.
Income tax. Why is that? Why is that?
Well, I don't know why. I can't remember what the origins of it. I think it was in Thatcher's days. But if you if you don't cut income tax, the general public are going to revolt and that kind of thing. It's never happened, but it was gospel that you do not cut income tax. What you do is increase VAT to compensate and all that kind of thing, and find other kind of taxes. But it was gospel and still is, I think, gospel that you do not cut income tax because that affects us, you, me, and everybody who walk in the street. It affects all of us. Because VAT, for example, is we get the choice. In a sense, we buy something and it's our decision to pay that tax. Yes?
No, not really, because everything has tax. Everything has VAT on it, apart from like bread and milk and bare essentials.
Yeah, but that's the point I'm making. That it's our decision whether we're going to buy them or not. It's not a
decision if everything is taxed.
No, income tax we have to pay, right?
Yeah.
All of it, all of our income, depending on our income. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, VAT, if we're going to buy something, well, and there's VAT on it, we have the choice not to buy it. Are you with me? We have the freedom of choice, and that is the difference. And that is, why if Boris and his new chancellor are going to say we're going to cut tax it, that will have terrific resonance with people, particularly poorer people, because their taxes, such as they are, what they'll do is raise the level where you start. What is it now? 12.5 grand, isn't it? It starts after that. Then it becomes 20 grand.
That would be nice.
And then it becomes 40 grand, which is what I'm in. Oh, I'm in.
You know what? If I was leader of this country, one of probably the first things I would want to do, one of the first things I would want to do is cut taxes across the board, everything cut by 50%. I would cut every form of taxes by 50% in half because the government spends it completely uselessly. They buy stupid things, spend way too much money on useless things, and I think a lot of parts of the government just could be cut out entirely.
Right. Well, what would you do for money when you wanted to spend it on good things like schools or health or all these kind of things? Why? What would you like that not to happen?
I think a lot of that's the thing. I think a lot of institutions can be privatized. I think there are only probably two. There are probably only a few institutions that I do not want to be privatized, and the number one thing is healthcare. That should never be private. The police, that shouldn't be private. The fire department, I don't even know how privatization would work on that.
Wait, what is it?
Fire department. I don't even know how that would work. But I think most things can be privatized very easily.
Don't you remember that Boris wanted to do a deal with Trump to buy that NHS? God forbid, man. Right. Trump in charge of our NHS, it makes, oh God. Really, really, really. Privatization. Now, for example, we will go to Energy Matters, and privatization of the energy companies has led to, by by Thatcher has led to the chaos we're in now, and the absolute chaos that has been caused by privatisation. And I've done this, I've told this many times, because it led to a cartel of companies that put the prices up just as they saw fit. And now it's going to go up again because another a cartel of 5, not 6 anymore, is going to put our bills up by 800 quid in October. Okay? And that's because of privatisation. And that means the average house, a 3-bedroom house, is now going to face a bill of 3,000 quid. And that is fuel poverty for a lot of people here. And it's down to privatisation.
No, because I don't think the government would do any better. I don't think they would help out the situation at all. I don't think they would. I don't think the holy government would make things better for like income, for the cost of living of natural. What was it you were saying? Sorry, I've messed up what I was saying. The energy cartels. I don't think the government would help that if they ran the
well, look at this government.
Well, no, hang on a minute. You say about the energy cartels, there's these 6 big companies that control everything. Would you rather it was one and it was the government? I certainly wouldn't.
No. I would want a properly run system.
But
there's a regulator here, right? And do you know how much the chief of that gets paid? £310,000 to be incompetent. If you had a properly incompetent Ofgem regulator, then you wouldn't be in this situation.
£350,000 a year.
£310,000.
Is that from a private company or the government?
It's from the government, yeah, and that's
the government paying him £300,000.
£300,000, yeah, not to actually properly regulate the energy. Yes.
Well, that was about the use. That's a perfect example of the useless spending I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, but then it should be reformed, not abolished.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't boycott with private companies. You can boycott them fairly easily if there are multiple different companies. You cannot boycott the government. You can't do it, and that's one of the things that I really dislike the most about it. Is if the government's making bad decisions, you can't really do anything about it. You can do something about it in 5 years' time when you get to vote for them again.
18 months' time. Yeah.
18 months' time.
Yeah.
Oh, well, in 18 months' time, you can pick a different person. But that's still 18 months of going through, like, all these energy crises and all this, everything's a crisis stage that we're in.
In 18 months' time, a lot of us will have frozen to death and a lot of us will have starved to death. So there you are. That's the problem. So something needs to be done now. We can't wait for 18 months. It's just crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can't wait for 18 months.
Yeah, but then you're going back to your crazy dictatorship scenario.
How is limited government crazy dictatorship? What I'm talking about? I'm talking about shrinking the size of government entirely. How is that fascist?
Because you end up with fascist dictatorships.
No, you don't. Not by limiting government. Hitler and Mussolini and Stalin never went, you know what we should do? Shrink our power. No, they wanted to increase their power. If I was saying we should increase the power of the government, yes, that I would see why you would say that's fascistic. But limiting government is in no way fascistic.
Well, what you're talking about is smaller government is not necessarily a good thing. I mean, you ought to have the government actually doing more things like monitoring properly the energy cap and getting more people. And then again, they don't give these people proper wages, do they? And it's like the strikes now that that could be better sorted out as at the moment.
Let's go to actually, we have some new breaks. We've got some new videos to show. Some of them are fairly long. There's one that's 20 minutes. I won't pick that today. I'm just looking for something that's decently sized. Okay, so we're going to play this. It's 5 minutes long. A Rocky Mountain Scenic Drive in British Columbia, Canada. So I'm going to try and play that. Just give me a moment. Okay, here we go.
That's fresh snow up there. It's clean dust of snow.
It's really hard to be filming in the car here because the road is rough, patched up all over the place, and hard to keep the camera steady. Now that is a rugged mountain range.
The nice thing about being behind big trucks is that that's how you get to back into the big truck. That's why
so many motorhomes, fifth wheels, trailers, campers, more than in other years for a long time. Even now, like I said, all around. Many of them are rental. Actually, this time we've seen a motorhome, a trailer, and a camper truck, but there's so many of them out on the road.
Okay, and we're back. That was a good little show. Rocky Mountain Scenic Drive through British Columbia in Canada. That's what we just watched there. That's quite interesting. We were just talking during the break about the Just Stop Oil protest, and I asked to Stuart, because he's somewhat of I would say, an energy expert. But what would actually happen if we just stopped oil right now? What would happen if all oil production was stopped?
Well, there'd be an awful lot of reserves around, which would last us I don't know how long. But why would it?
Do you how long do you think it would? What happens when that runs out? It goes to what? Green energy?
Well, it doesn't. You see, the point about it is that despite all the enthusiasm for renewable energy, there hasn't been enough investment. I can testify about it. I've been writing about this for a long time. And there hasn't been enough investment in renewable energy to meet the energy mix. And this has been the real problem. And I think even now there's going to have to be some kind of bridge. And the bridge will have to be probably gas, because it's the least polluting of all the fossil fuels, yeah? And Professor Dieter Helms, who's the Professor of Energy at Oxford University, and is also an advisor to the government, he's been saying this for a very long time. He says that renewable energy will not meet the energy mix at the moment because there hasn't been the same invest. And he says at least 15 years. I would have thought 10 years. But a friend of mine, colleague of mine, who actually writes about oil companies now, and he says, I've been talking to these guys, they're yanking up what said. He says, I think it will be a generation before renewable energy can actually meet the energy mix, where we're totally dependent on renewables. Now, you look at this thing that Boris got himself into last June, the wind didn't blow. I mean, you've got the problem with renewable energy, of course, is intermittency and storage. The wind doesn't blow all the time and the sun doesn't show all the time.
Especially
so
in this
the
country.
missing link is storage. Now, we are making tremendous strides in battery technology, but we're not there yet. We can't store oil, wind and solar in sufficient quantities to meet the mix. But that will change, but it's not. That's what the situation we're in now.
In your opinion, what is the best form of renewable energy?
Well, there isn't a best form in a sense. The best mix is once you get storage, both wind and solar could be very, very effective. Well, what we say now would be nuclear, because nuclear is not carbon emitting, right? That's probably the best thing. But then again, we're way behind in that because all the older ones are being phased out and all the newer ones have yet to come online properly.
Yeah,
and then you've got with nuclear, you've got this fantastic opposition to it because of nuclear waste. And that is a real problem.
But then you had what Theresa, was it Theresa May did?
Yeah.
It was Theresa May. Probably the most, I can't think of a more retarded decision a politician has made. To then, she sold all of our nuclear, was it all of? I think it was all of the nuclear power stations to China.
No, that's not true. That is not true.
How many was it?
No, it was George Osborne, who was then, I think, the Chancellor, was he? Yeah. He bribed the Chinese to invest in nuclear here. And they put up £6 billion for Hinkley Point. And the whole cost was £18 billion. And they put $6 billion in. And then they made further conditions to putting that $6 billion in, saying that they would be able to build 3 nuclear plants to their own specification over the coming years. Those 3 were Bradwell in Essex, the one in Sussex was Sizewell C, and Sellafield, right?
Wait, there's a nuclear power station in Sussex?
No, not Sussex. I said Suffolk. Sorry,
okay.
Suffolk, right? And they will be able to, and of course, when the American State Department got hold of this, they went absolutely ape.
Why?
And well, she said they had a go at Theresa May and said, "What the hell do you think you're doing, allowing them to put nuclear plants in your country where they could have ballistic missiles that come over here? You must be mad."
That is pretty.
She got an absolute bollocking from them. And because it was all down to George's bloody bribe, so thank God he's gone.
That is a pretty stupid decision.
Well, yes, I agree with you. They're going to go ahead, aren't they?
God.
I'm very annoyed about that because my family has got a lovely little beach house, not a beach house, at Walmerswick, where you can actually see Sizewell B. God, blimey. And we went up there recently to go to Minsmere, which is a bird sanctuary. And walking through there was like going through the petrified forest. I was totally spooked by it because it was really felt, oh my God. And it was really funny. It was like a petrified forest. And a bloke came out of his house and he said, "Oh, where are you going?" And he was like a little ghost, I thought, oh God almighty, what have we done?
All right. Well, so we're done for the first show today. We'll be back on at 9:40. We'll be back on in 10 minutes. We'll do the hour and a half show. I think you're going to do Energy Matters if you have anything planned.
Yeah.
And so we're going to do Energy Matters later during the hour and a half show. So yeah, we will see you back here in 10 minutes. Thanks for watching.